Welcome to SMR Bitesize. It's Action Point Tuesday. But before that, if you like what we're doing, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Now, if you're a regular listener to our radio show, and if you're not, why not? You'll find a link to it in the description of every video on Bitesize. You'll know that this week we are having our first comedy special, not least because we bagged an interview with two of the funniest pro-EU, anti-Brexit political comedians around, Larry and Paul. I don't even know where to start here. I've got more questions than Boris Johnson's illegitimate children, but we will try. First of all, tell us a bit about your backgrounds. What drove you to become Larry and Paul, so beloved of us tofu-eating liberal wokies today?
Yeah, well, our origin story.
Yeah.
Well, my parents were slain by a criminal in an alley, and at that point I knew I needed to strike fear into the hearts of those who fear on the fearful.
You've got yourself mixed up once again with Batman.
Have I?
And there's a problem that we're dealing with. But we do need to pick up on that Boris Johnson gag, because I found that extremely offensive. He's a good man who's working hard for the country, who's been kicked out by a kangaroo court.
Absolutely.
I think we can all agree on that.
And is that girl he's given an honours to? Is that his daughter?
We don't know.
Is there a super injunction?
I don't know. People just say super injunction on Twitter these days, don't they? If they don't, because you're obviously not allowed to report if there is one. But that's not the question you asked.
No, it isn't.
It's not, but feel free to digress as much as you want. That's great. And I thought it was the perfect time, since only a couple of weeks ago we pointed you in the direction of 10 of our favourite trusted new and alternative news channels that speak truth to power, to show you where the best comedy on the right side of history is at. And your action point today is simple. Subscribe to their channels, watch their stuff, tell them what a great job they're doing, and an important one too, find out more about that on this week's radio show. And of course, if you can afford it, support them with a tip. We'll start with Nadine Skinner, and trust me, you won't find a better impersonation of former Prime Minister, seriously look it up, Liz Truss, anywhere.
Hello, it's me, Liv Truss, your ex-pork mincer, and welcome to my special cookery programme. Stop pie crustinating and bake a coronation pie for the Queen. Sorry, King. I was the last person to see her. First step, get some puff pastry. I don't understand the premise of this recipe. Here's one I paid for earlier. Second, add the filling. Cheese! If you can't afford cheese, don't try this at home. It's pointless, there's no substitute for the poor. Third, pork from my pork markets. If you're a vegetarian, that is a disgrace. As a binding agent, use anti-woke juice. They think it's oat milk, but it's actually full-fat dairy cow's milk. Watch their stomachs expand. Next up, add a sprinkling of privilege. My dressing gown and slippers from Checkers. Oh, and loads of money. And last but not least, my secret ingredient, an essence of love. Maggie. Quazzy. Diana. Oh no, he doesn't like her. Go away. Camilla Parker Bowles. Done. Put it in the oven, gas mark 6 for 44 days. Gas is so cheap from what I did to energy after Putin's appalling war in Ukraine. Now let's cut up the pie so that everybody gets a slice. First, a slice for King Charles Spaniel. And now a slice for the wealthy people. And the rest is for the poor people. Everybody gets a slice. And lastly, curtsy for the king. Happy coronation!
Then there's Matt Green, always topical, hot off the press, and frankly, no one interviews himself better than he does.
The Privileges Committee report into Boris Johnson was published today, with damning conclusions about the former Prime Minister. Our Smackdowns and Comeuppances correspondent, Jonathan Goodenough, has more.
Yes, that's right. Never in the history of this Parliament, or perhaps any Parliament, in this world or perhaps any world, has such a damning report been published into a man or woman, but in this case definitely a man, who, let's not forget, just a few months ago was technically in charge of the country.
So what's in the report?
Well, it's 30,000 words long and was only just published, so I haven't had a chance to read all of it, obviously, but I think I've got the gist.
And that is?
Boris Johnson. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Can you give us any more detail? Well, I'm quite a slow reader and it was literally only published minutes ago, but I think in simple terms, lying, misleading and contempt.
That sounds serious.
Yes, so serious in fact that they would have recommended a 90-day suspension from the Commons, which is, let's not forget, nearly 2 whole Liz Truss terms.
Has Johnson responded?
Yes, he said that the whole process was nonsense and a sham, thereby committing even more contempt on top of the original contempt, leading to what some constitutional scholars have described as contempt cubed.
So what happens now?
Well, many observers are saying that this must be the very final nail in the coffin of Boris Johnson's political career. In fact, the committee even said that he shouldn't get a parliamentary pass, which will be devastating for someone who respected the Commons so much.
So what will he do now?
Well, it looks likely that he'll be forced to fall back on an existence of extremely well-paid speaking engagements and writing jobs, which sounds like an absolutely lovely life to me. But you have to remember that if this report has taught us anything, it's that Boris Johnson does not see the world like anybody else.
We're now joined by Red Wall MP Brandon Binde.
It's absolutely revolting what's happened to our Boris. It's been brought down by the woke blob who've never forgiven him for Brexit.
4 of the members of the committee were Conservatives.
Not real ones. They're snivelling traitors and they deserve to be whipped in the street.
The committee has said that they will investigate any MPs attacking it as possibly also committing contempt of Parliament.
Right, well, have they said that? Right, well, that's fine, because I've always said I respect them.
You just called them snivelling traitors.
No, I didn't. This is just the kind of witch hunt that brought down our great leader. You lot won't be happy until we're lying naked in a ditch being pelted with fruit.
But who will pick that fruit?
Like I've said before, unemployed people.
Like Boris Johnson?
It were like a candle in wind.
Next up, as Nadine Dorries delays resigning from her seat until she discovers exactly why she didn't get a peerage, we ask, when was the last time you did something stupid whilst drunk, then just kept on doubling down?
And Zeus Kempner is the only reason, and I must stress, only reason, I secretly hope Nadine Dorries doesn't disappear from public life altogether, and here's why.
Firstly, are you okay? I hope so. I'm Nadine Dorries, the People's Culture Secretary, celebrated authoress, and now former MP of the constituency I have selflessly represented and served since 2005. My beloved constituency of... Stop all the clocks. Cut up the television. Prevent your dog from doing that. He was my north and south, my right, my left, my something else. Anyway, I thought love would last forever. I was wrong. Famous poem that is very relevant today by J.R. Hartley. I'm here to read you a new section from my best-selling novel, His Frontbench Woman, now free on the front of You magazine. Chapter 37, The King is Dead. No, not that one, and no, not like that. Political heavyweight and glamorous icon Naomi Forrest was, for the first time, emotional like a baby. Tears flowed from her eyes like Niagara Falls, the mythical waterfall where Merlin lived in the old days. You can't go, oh captain, my captain. She beat her fists against the former, for now, Prime Minister's strong blonde chest. You have so much still to archive. Achieve. So much still to achieve. Sorry, I'm just so emotional, babes. Then the Prime Minister spoke. For now, my loyal and very capable and ravishing colleague and most trusted condiment, I must stand down, he said firmly with a voice that was both distinguished and erotic. Then I shall too! Naomi puffed out her chest like one of those weird birds on a Life on Earth documentary from that snake traitor channel BBC. But when she did it, it looked noble and also sexy and classy. I shall resign as an MP, whatever that is. Naomi, no! Her Prime Minister exclamationed. Yes, you must take my beautiful MP seat of... and what's more, I'll have your baby. My what? Your baby. I'll have it. I'll do anything. I'll do anything for you, big dog. What? That's impossible. Nonsense. The only thing standing in the way is science and physics, and what have they ever done for us? What even are they in this crazy goddamn world? Naomi, have you lost your mind? No, I haven't. I've never felt more sane. Our Prime Minister will reign supreme once more, or my name's not Nadine Dorries, Naomi Forrest. And I will be a lord. You mark my worms.
Then, of course, there's Larry and Paul, special guests on this week's radio show. Their brilliant Honest Brexit ad has been viewed now over 250,000 times, but here's what made us at SMR love them to bits.
Emotionless greeting. Quick dog whistle to summon racists and bastards. Providing update on new immigration bill. Allowing time for viewers to absorb new moustache. Like our policies, a bit Nazi, but we're not quite there yet. We'll keep trying. Revealing a new 3-part slogan, quick point. Glad that the suffering of millions of displaced people can be distilled into just 3 words. Lovely font, though. Wondering who'd have thought this style of briefing would have become relevant again. Delighted to provide excellent online political comedians with fresh new ammo. Knowing wink. Fiercely opposing Gary Lineker's point of view, adding that the BBC simply should not be employing people with compassionate and progressive views towards refugees and asylum seekers, demanding that the BBC remains politically neutral, and promising to bring that up with my great friend Timmy, who runs the BBC. Supporting my colleague Chinless Ming the Merciless, Suella Deville Braverman, and saying she's absolutely right to claim 1 billion people might want to come here, in the same way Margot Robbie might want to sleep with me. Adding that we've worked hard over 13 years to make this as unattractive a country to live in as possible for working people, and we're not about to stop now. Getting reaction to the new immigration bill from colleagues in the DUP.
Homosexuality is an abomination.
Bloody hell, they're obsessed. Finally, admitting we may have wiped out the UK's international standing, ruined the economy for generations, filled our waterways and beaches with human effluents, and proven time and time again that we're corrupt to fuck. But we need to focus on the important things. Labour employed Sue Gray. A dainty nod. Snotty, thank you.
So, there you go. Off you pop. Subscribe, watch, like, and tip if you can. Why? Because comedy has the power to change things. And if you'd like to know more about why and how, tune in to this week's show. There's a direct link at the end of this vid. With this year's National Rejoin March set for September the 23rd in London, why not kit yourself out ahead of the big day? You'll find everything you need and more, courtesy of our friends at Stay European. All orders over £15 are delivered free, and here's the best bit. As an SMR Bitesize viewer, you'll get 10% off everything you order. Just enter the code at the checkout. And yep, there's a shop link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, visit 16millionrising.co.uk, where you can listen to this week's full radio show for free, support us with a donation, buy us a coffee, or subscribe as an early riser. Back tomorrow.